morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, I think we've got 8 new Pokemon we need to have a little bit of a look at. Eevee Heroes, the set list is out now. We've looked at a lot of the cards. We looked at most of the cards, in fact. But there are still a few we need to have a little bit of a gander at. So let's have a chat about Araquanid. Still one of my favourite names in Pokemon. The wordplay is wonderful. Translations here from the lovely Joe from Cerebi.net. And quite frankly, if you're not using Cerebi.net on a regular basis, I might have to ask you why. So Araquanid then, we've got 120 HP, which is awkward because lots of Pokemon hit 120, and you've got Rapid Strike Urshifu that hits 120 to 2 Pokemon. 120 is not a HP I want to have. Retreat cost of 2 does, however, mean Air Balloon, which is not too bad. Weakness to Fire looks alright because of the whole, fire's not that going to be great after rotation. And Grass means you're hitting little for weakness. Now, 1 energy, 30 damage. On a basic, I wouldn't be particularly impressed. On a stage 1, I really, actively dislike it. It's not good enough. It's just not going to do you any good. I mean, even something like Galarian Zigzagoon, which is an evolving basic, which is weak to grass, you'll still be 10 damage away. And yes, I know there are ways to do that extra 10 damage. I also know we're using a stage 1 here. I'm not willing to do any extra damage. 1 grass, 2 colorless energy, 110. Move a basic energy from this Pokemon to one of your benched Pokemon. And this gives me shades of Tornadus, and this is of course the Tornadus from Emerging Powers that saw a whole bunch of play. 3 energy, 80 damage, move a basic energy. And you can use Twin Energy here, so you essentially move the grass to the bench, and then you can attach another grass next turn, and then you've got a grass Pokemon on the bench, so you can just attach a Twin Energy to attack, and I still don't really care, because it's 2 energy attachments on a stage 1. Now, you will actually get a KO on Umbreon V here, which is relevant. Not the V Max, but at least the V, which is something. And it's alright, but 110 isn't very much. You won't get the majority of single prize Pokemon, so I'm sorry. I think this one is fairly underwhelming. Moving over into Fire, we have Magcargo here, and now we are up to 130 HP, which is nice, because it means you are avoiding those 120 KOs, which I appreciate. Retreat cost does go up to an awkward 3, though. But then again, you are a Fire Pokemon, so you are hitting weakness against relevant Pokemon like Zacian, so it might be alright. But 2 energy, 40 damage, no. And yeah, fine, in post-rotation, if people are playing Jirachi Amazing Rare, as I suspect they might be, you will get a 1-hit KO for a Twin Energy, but you're talking about getting a Stage 1 Pokemon and using a Special Energy just to get a KO on a single price 70 HP basic. I mean, that's nothing to get terribly excited about. 2 Fire, 1 Colorless, 150. Flip 3 coins. For each Tails, discard an energy attached to this Pokemon. No, frankly, I don't like it. Sure, you might discard no energy, but you're just as likely to discard 3. You'll end up discarding 1 or 2, but one of the reasons I said a moment ago that Fire wasn't looking great post-rotation is because we're losing Welder. With Welder, I could see an argument for this. Without Welder, it's way too expensive. Even with Welder, I look at this and I'm like, why am I playing it over Talonflame? Fine, Talonflame's a 2-prize Pokemon, but it's got 3 retreat. For the same amount of energy, you do 160, and it's a flat discard 1 energy rather than between 0 and 3. And it's got an attack you can use turn 1 going first for consistency, so no. Sorry, Magcargo, not buying it. There is a new MANTINE coming. Just your regular reminder here that we've only ever had a single Mantike card, and it came out in the Diamond and Pearl base set, which came out in May 2007, which basically means 14 years ago. Where are our Mantike cards? When we finally get a new Mantike, if it ever happens, we are actually going to have I don't care how good or bad it is, we're doing a full video on that Mantike. That day is not today. As for MANTINE, we've got the same annoying HP of 110 we saw on Araquanid a moment ago. Retreat cost of 1 is fairly low, so at least we've got that. 1 water energy, 20 damage, switch to the bench. And on the one hand, yes, this is a hit and run Pokemon. We like hit and run Pokemon. And it is a basic hit and run Pokemon, which is huge. It means you don't have to do any of that evolving malarkey. And it is a single energy attack with a hit and run Pokemon. It almost starts looking like it's going to end up being pretty gosh darn good. And then we realise it only does 20 damage. And that basically puts me out. We have better hit and run Pokemon. Honestly, in the format we're at in the moment, with the HP we've got from these Pokemon at the moment, I cannot justify playing a hit and run Pokemon that only does 20 damage. If you give me a bunch of ways to do more than that and boost the damage, maybe. And I will say, and please correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong about this, but I believe this is actually the only water hit and run Pokemon that we've got. But I still don't particularly care, unfortunately. It's just not good enough. Doesn't do enough damage. As for the second attack, free energy, 80 damage, no. I mean, look, you're not getting a one-hit KO on a Victini V, even though you're hitting for weakness, and that has amongst the lowest HP of any Pokemon V we've seen, and that should tell you everything you need to know about this. If I'm putting free energy on a Pokemon and hitting for weakness, I expect to be able to KO a weak Pokemon V, but I can't. Okay, it's not the weakest, but it's still lower than average. Moving over to Lightning, we've got ourselves a new Rotom here, and I can see an argument for Rotom. Not a strong argument, but I can see an argument for Rotom. What we've got here is 80 HP, which is extremely low, but do remember we now have Level Ball back in the format, so at least there is a saving grace there. We've got a retreat cost of 1, which is at least nice and low, and weakness and all doesn't really matter because you've got 80 HP. Now, 1 energy, 30 damage is not going to get it done. I mean, look, at least this is on a basic, unlike Araquanid that's trying to make us do this on a stage 1. But let's be clear, this is still not good or exciting or terribly viable. However, we do have another fairly interesting attack here. 1 colourless energy, discard all Pokemon tool cards attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. Okay. Now we're rolling, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're rolling. And I still don't think this is a phenomenal attack, not by any stretch of the imagination. However, this is at least useful. I don't think it's going to see any play. But I can see a point in the future where in a slightly different format, this ends up seeing a bunch of play. So, okay, at the moment, fine, we have Tool Scrapper. Tool Scrapper will survive this rotation, but it won't survive next rotation. But I look at this and I just think of Beedrill EX. Beedrill EX was not a particularly good card. However, it had an attack for a colourless energy that discarded 2 Pokemon tools from your opponent's Pokemon. And the thing is that this would be used in some decks to get rid of tools on, for instance, stuff like Garbodor, for argument's sake. The thing is, item lock was big at the time, and so a lot of decks didn't necessarily want to play item cards to do this, so Beedrill was a nice little tech. It wasn't a great card, but it found a place in the metagame because we wanted to get rid of tools, and item lock was big, and this was a way to get around all of that. That is a niche that Rotom could fill in the future. Now, there is a new Morile coming along. We got 90 HP, which again is nice and low. So Level Ball is a thing. Nice low retreat cost as well. And we've got 1 attack here for a single Psychic Energy, 30 damage. During your opponent's next turn, the defending's Pokemon retreat cost becomes 1 colourless energy more, and its attacks cost 1 colourless energy more to use. Okay. Again, this isn't a phenomenal attack. I appreciate that we're talking about single energy on a basic Pokemon. That makes me pretty happy. But, honestly, you're just not doing very much. Now, for what it's worth, this is actually the first time we've ever seen a Psychic Morile. Morile, of course, being Fairy and Metal. We've seen Fairy Morile in the past, not many of them, incidentally. In fact, it's only ever the EX and the Mega EX that came through as Fairy. But now, we do have this, the first ever Psychic Morile. Yay! But I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. We just go back to not having enough damage here. And it's not that it's terrible or offensive or any of that. It'll buy you some time in the early game. There will be some games where you bring it out and your opponent can't attack and they can't retreat because you've increased the cost of doing either of those things. And there will be times this comes in and saves you. But there are just going to be too many games where your opponent can just get around this too easily and it's not going to work. Now, there is a new Indeedee coming along. 100 HP is actually really annoying because it puts you out of range of Level Ball. So cheers for that. Free energy, 80 damage. I mean, all I can tell you is this. We didn't like free energy, 80 damage on MANTINE, where it was all colourless. So if you're telling me there's a Psychic 2 colourless, I'm not loving it. Even hitting for weakness, you're not going to get Pokemon V. So you'll get some really weak Pokemon, evolving basics, things of that nature. You'll get some single prize Pokemon that are weak, but for free energy, that's not enough. Do love the artwork, incidentally. Don't love this attack. But one Psychic Energy, search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Then shuffle your deck. It's cool for family. And you know what? I don't hate this. Now, again, I'm not here to argue this is good or great or phenomenal or any of that. There are other Pokemon around that have got cool for family or similar kind of attacks. The Drampa in Battle Styles has this exact same cool for family attack, but on a colourless energy rather than a Psychic. But, if you want, and it's got more HP. But if you're playing a Psychic deck, it is very occasionally a pseudo-viable attack. Again, it's not good, but I could see an argument occasionally when you're desperate. And now you're telling me it's got cool for family as well? It's fine. Again, no one's arguing good, but there is a very, very... If you really squint, you can see a use for this Indeedee. Now, moving over to Pangoro here. Pangoro is... Well, we know what we're getting from Pangoro, right? We're going to have high HP. We're going to have some interesting attacks, but they're going to be expensive. And generally speaking, Pangoro has always been so expensive that we've not gotten particularly excited. So could that maybe change here? Well, 140 HP is high for a stage 1. So we got that going for us. We've got a retreat cost of 4, which is very high and not particularly exciting. But we've got free energy, 90 damage, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. And look, I actually like discarding the top card of my opponent's deck. I like mill. I like being able to do decent damage while milling. And you're telling me here I can do 90 damage, which is not an insignificant amount of damage. Psychic Pokemon V that are weak, you will get a one-hit KO here, while milling your opponent a little bit. So if you come against something like an Indeedee V, you're going to feel pretty good about this. But the fact of the matter is you got free energy, and you can't use twin energy. So you're in an awkward situation here in terms of how to actually pay it. And as much as I think this is an interesting attack, and I do get the feeling here that this is going to be another one of those which is just a little bit too expensive. If you can get enough energy on there, though, I do like it. And then we've got 4 energy, 150 damage, discard a card from your opponent's hand without looking. Now again, we've got a decent amount of damage here. This will get pretty much any single prize Pokemon with a few rare exceptions here and there, which I like. And then you're discarding a card from your opponent's hand without looking, which is good. You've got hand disruption. This is quite nice. But again, we come back to the fact that it's a 4 energy attack. And quite frankly, we're not going to put 4 energy on this Pokemon. I have no great moral objection. It's just way too expensive for what you get to do here. So we end up with another Pokemon that looks interesting, could be fun, and ends up just falling a little bit short. And for that, I am sorry. But there's one more chance to find a hidden gem in Eevee Heroes. It is Persian. And maybe what we've got here is 110 HP, which, as we've said, is not good, but a nice low retreat cost to how Fop set it. 2 energy, 70 damage. I mean, look, you can use it for a twin energy. And it's better than Araquanid's 1 energy 30. And it's better than MANTINE's 3 energy 80. So there's that. But come on. I mean, look, it'll get things like Galarian Digzagoon. It'll get things like Jirachi Amazing Rare. These relevant cards. It'll get most evolving basics. So if you go first, your opponent has a turn, but they can't evolve. And then on your second turn, you attach a twin energy and start KOing these evolving basics. There is an argument for Persian here. But are you honestly telling me there aren't other Pokemon around where you can do 70 damage going first turn 2? I rather suspect, ladies and gentlemen, that unfortunately there are. And for that, I apologise. First attack, single energy, 30 damage, draw a card. Give this to me on a basic. Give this to me on a basic, and I might be able to look at this and go, well, hang on a second. There's an argument. We can work with that. That could be fun. But you give that to me on a stage 1, and I've got to take a turn to evolve up. And then I'm only doing 30 damage while drawing, and I'm right back in this situation of, no. It's not good enough. If I am taking the time to evolve up, if I am using an energy on an evolved Pokemon, I need to do a little bit more damage than I'm doing here. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's not working. I'd like to say nice things about it. It would make me very happy if I could. But I think this Persian is, for want of a more exciting phrase, just a little bit disappointing. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all of the cards from Eevee Heroes. We got some interesting ones here, but I rather suspect none of these are going to break the metagame. However, if you disagree with me, there is a comment section, and I would love to hear from you. Or if you agree with me, or I don't really care, just let me know, ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.